the part that we agreed before. So we will have the video of this to watch later and maybe to share with colleagues as well. I will do a bit of an intro for Radka. I have already shared that we have this, let's say, piloting class for educators on design thinking and how it can be implemented into designing learning processes. This is our last fourth meeting, so we are we have covered a bit of different methods and how the flow goes. The responsible participants have already done a bit of practicing as well, and interviewing students and doing some observations and mapping out the findings. So that part is already covered as well. And now we have reached the point to discuss how all of this can be integrated into, let's say, real life settings, into daily work. And as you have such great experience with doing that, then probably you are really the best person to share that. So Radka, the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you for this wonderful introduction. It's too kind. Thank you, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. As I was saying, you know, I really have very fond memories of Tallinn. I do wish I could be with you. And when I started my job in Lancaster, where I'm located now, 2007, my first project was to create a double degree with Estonian Business School. So I was on the plane straight on to Tallinn, and as soon as I landed, I felt like I've landed at home, because as you can hear from my accent, I'm Czech originally. So I thought, oh, this is a small Prague. I'm here, you know, I'm like in a miniature town of sort of Prague. So I absolutely loved it. And you can imagine the food is quite similar. So I fell in love with verrywurst, you know, so that was always, the colleagues always knew to, you know, and all these fantastic things. So, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I never realized how much we have in common, like culture-wise, you know, the Czech culture and the Estonian culture. Obviously, we had a historical sort of grounding sort of together, but you know, it was really fantastic. But what really amazed me always about Estonia is how innovative you guys as a country, you know, how much innovation and how many, you know, new ideas, new things, new ventures came into being from Estonia. And the students, oh my goodness, you know, I absolutely loved working with the EBS students. So excellent memories for me, you know, so I've had a lot of lovely trips and discussions with students, and creating this double degree was a bit of a design, a bit of an experiment that we sort of had to, you know, adapt every year as we went along. So it's wonderful to be here with you, but it may be nice to just hear from you guys about, just briefly about what your position is, what you are sort of mainly doing in your university, so that I can maybe think about relating some of my work to your backgrounds. So I don't know if you can just spare a minute each, I mean, just to tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Who will start?
I think Silly, you can start, because at least on my screen you're the next one, you know, going in the sequence.
Yeah. So my name is d.Lab. I am the Education and Technology Officer. So all the professors usually turn to me when they are having any kind of problem with Moodle, BBB, Zoom, you name it, and they turn to me and they ask help, and then I try to figure out how to make it work. Yeah.
Well, you are very important.
Help desk on the support group for the professors.
Fantastic. So for us, it would be like some sort of an education learning specialist or something like that, or you know, digital learning specialist or something like that.
And I also I'm also responsible of the educational technology trainings in our center. So I asked Diana Cook to teach us what she's doing, and that's how I am right now here, because she also told that, oh, she's making the same course for the professors, And then I said like, oh, can I join? So they actually don't know that I'm here. So I'm just like, I invited myself here. No one hasn't invited me here.
Yes, Sila's colleagues, I think it was a group of 5 or 7 people in total. They also took a separate course for about design thinking, how to kind of do this process, and it's actually very good because it's as you, Radka, probably realize, and this is something that we will discuss with colleagues after your presentation, that it's a collaborative process and it's something that cannot be done alone. And it seems to me that the specialist in Sila's team and herself, they are the perfect sparring partner in this discussion when going through the learner's journey and looking into how to improve it, which kind of tools to use, and how to put it all together. So that's why she's here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sila.
All right, Paavo seems to be next.
Paavo.
Hello again. My name is Paavo Siimann. I'm senior lecturer at the Department of Business Administration, and I'm lecturing business performance management and analysis and several accounting topics, mainly for master students in Estonian and in English.
Wow, fantastic. Nice to meet you, Paavo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elise.
Good evening, my name is Elise, and pretty similar to Paavo's introduction, except I'm teaching marketing. Okay. and maybe some other.
Thank you.
Merle seems to be the next one.
Hello everyone. My name is Merle and I am teaching in same institute business ethics and organizational development and change management. And also I'm not teaching, but I would like to say leading master thesis workshop to prepare students to write master thesis. And it was very glad to hear that you are somehow connected to Estonian Business School. I am graduated from Estonian Business School, and I used to work at the EBS almost 10 years. So.
Wow, that's great. Nice to meet you, Merle.
Nice to meet you, Radka.
All right, Kristi seems to be the next one.
Kirsti?
Okay. Yes.
Hello, I'm Kirsti. I'm from the Department of Economics and Finance. I'm a senior lecturer in business mathematics, quantitative methods and statistics. So I'm the quantitative person, I guess. The rest are the same. I guess the rest are also quantitative people, but I think, yeah, not so much into qualitative stuff. I'm as well the head of the teaching affairs in the department. And that's it.
So how is this touchy-feely design thing sitting with your quantitative nature?
Well, yeah, I tried to when we had our first homework, even though it was qualitative and it was asked to carry out interviews, I still carried out a survey and did a correlation matrix when it was asked to do something else. So I adapt.
But I have to say, Radka, the discussions that Kirsti's approach actually brought to the group, I think, were super valuable to kind of, look at the challenges that we're so used to looking through qualitative approach, to look a bit differently and really challenge the approaches that we have. So that's been definitely a great value for the whole group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsti.
All right, so I think Evie is the next one.
Hello. Sorry for being late. Traffic situation was such as it was.
You are already allowed out of the house.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how to introduce myself, but I repeat my colleagues. I am teaching marketing research and marketing planning and e-marketing also. And I am one of those who is leading master thesis seminar also. That's it.
Excellent. It's a tough job, isn't it? I think I always find it tough, the dissertation seminars, the preparation.
Yes, seminars. Mm.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right, and we have Anu, I think we have, yes.
Hello, I am Anu Lepiman. I am Jana's colleague, and we together teaching business communication and negotiation and service design lecture, and to make some research in service design. Thanks.
Thank you, Anu. And
thank you, Anu.
Anu is also my PhD thesis supervisor, so she's probably the one of the first ones who has uncovered the design topic in Estonia, in the academia at least. So that's a great pleasure that she has also found some time to join this call as well.
Wow, what a privilege! Thank you, Anu. Thanks you for coming.
Thank you, Radka.
And you know, really, like the quantitative, so it's a big myth, isn't it? I think we all think that design is something beautiful, something trendy, but a lot of it is based on data. So, you know, it's definitely the quantitative side is ever so important. You know, it's not just observing people and feeling, but it is drawing on, you know, hard data as well. So it is you know, a bit of a holistic collation of all different information. So thank you so much for coming today. So I was thinking how to start today, and my sort of angle of looking at design and using design is mainly through service design. So it's a sort of a discipline that is a sort of a sub-discipline of design. It's quite new in the world of design. So people always say, you know, designing the invisible. It's some sort of a, you know, you can't see the service. It's a bit more difficult to stuff take. And if you think about service as helping somebody do something, so that's how I think about service. So I am not coming at it from the point of sort of marketization of education. So I don't see my students as receivers of my service, but I am there in service of my students and of my colleagues as well. So that's how we sort of look at it, helping somebody do something. So I help my students become, you know, more informed, more curious, and complete a degree. So that's the sort of definition of service that me and my colleague that we have taken mainly from the public services in the UK. So the government has used this sort of concept of service a lot when designing services for citizens. So that's where we are really coming from. And I guess my initial curiosity became in trying to improve students' experience. And I myself, you know, as I said, I'm Czech, and I studied in the Czech Republic. Then I went into study to Spain, studied in Ireland. So I studied in many different countries, and I always sort of arrived at this new university slightly scared, confused, you know, didn't really know what to expect. And I started thinking, wow, you know, I wonder whether all of my students are experiencing all this fear, confusion. Maybe they have to learn about our internal structures first before they even understand what they are supposed to do, how they're supposed to choose courses, where to click, which building to go to. And I always saw, you know, a lot of confused students at the beginning of the year, students lost in the corridors. So I thought, I need to somehow stop this, you know. It's like this mission that I don't want any student to feel like how I felt in all these alien buildings and institutions. So I really started being more and more curious in a student experience. And this was really in my time in Lancaster University. So I've been in Lancaster since 2007, for a really long time. It somehow trapped me, you know. So, and I am now a senior teaching fellow in sort of strategy and innovation. But I started as a manager, you know, so I started in a different role in the university, and I've gone through different jobs, academic and what we call here professional, so different mixture of different roles. And I really started to be driven on like using initially lean management. So I initially reached out to lean operations management and thinking, or maybe some principles from operations management, maybe they can be useful for us to improve student experience. So that was my sort of first attempt. And those of you who are maybe a little bit familiar with lean management, it is very much based on process, on looking at process. And, you know, we always say like the universities are full of processes, you know, we have processes for everything, processes everywhere. So I thought, oh, this is maybe a good place to start mapping the processes, you know, to look at step by step. But somehow this sort of lean, there is also a lot of literature on using lean, applying lean management, again, in public services. In the UK, we've done a lot in health, in the hospitals, you know, using lean just to become more effective. But somehow, something was missing there for me. So I was looking at these processes and I thought, okay, well, this is a long process, so I will make it shorter. So I cross this step and become more efficient. But the human side somehow wasn't that visible from my point of view. So, however, you know, there is a big lean community in the UK interested in higher education, and we are quite a global community. So if you are interested, I would still encourage you to look at lean higher education. We do a lot of conferences, and a lot of people there are interested in that sort of human side and how to basically apply lean in higher education. And we have you know, it's really global. There are fantastic colleagues from Australia. I always find the Australians really really advanced. And now I'm just going to see if I can share with you the link. It's a really great community, a lot of resources. And I started going to these lean conferences. I will put it into the chat for you, just in case you're interested. So I started going to these lean conferences and sort of learning about, you know, making connections with the community there. And in this community, there was quite a lot of people as well who were saying, well, you know, there is something missing. We're just missing something more human to look at sort of student and staff experience. And so through there, I met a fantastic lady called Jean Mutton, and Jean really influenced me in my thinking. But I'm going to share with you a mural board. Is that okay? Will you be able to open it, do you think? So if I share with you a mural board, but I will share a screen anyway, and I'm just going to talk you through sort of my story. But I'm going to share it as a screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. So hopefully you can you, no, I'm going to also ask you, can you see a big mural board?
Yes.
Yes, okay, you are there.
I can.
I'm just going to zoom in and basically just start here so that you can see. So the first project that I came across where, you know, somebody was using something called service, something around design. It was Jean's project, Jean Mutton, and project of these ladies. And they were looking, it's very small, but they were looking at the registration process. So they were looking at how a student from an open day through application, you know, how the student goes through until when they are coming into the university. And what's happening here, you know, what's happening with what kind of participants are involved, and what's the backstage, what does it look like? So this was my first introduction to service design or using design. And you think, oh my God, you know, this is a bit daunting, but this is basically a blueprint, a service blueprint. So it's one of the methods that you can visualize what's really happening to the student. What do they go through and what's behind all this? And this is a fantastic way to visualize, you know, how, what's happening in the student life, but all the systems and processes and all these people behind. And you can see how different silos in education also, you know, in university, how they are connected. And you can start looking at these fail points, these fail points. Don't worry if you are moving it, I'll move it back. Don't worry about it. So you can enlarge it. I will leave you the link. I will leave it live so you can look at it in a bit more detail later. So this was, and look how, you know, it's sort of, it's 2010, and these ladies, there were no templates at that time, you know, they were just, somehow they put it together, but they published the first article about this. So when I was looking at stuff, designing education and using it, this was the first thing that I actually became familiar with. So I phoned Jean, and Jean was a very nice lady. Her role was in professional services. So she was in registration office at the university. So she wasn't an academic. So this was more a sort of a professional project, if you like, you know, not an academic project. This was sort of helping students access the university and register quickly and, you know, make it a bit smoother as an experience. Throughout this project, they brought many people together, and this was also in 2010. This was quite groundbreaking when Jean invited people like the academics, the people from the registry. They invited some students, and they did big workshops together, imagining this journey, you know, mapping this journey and looking at who is involved, and even just talking together, you know, bringing people together was quite groundbreaking. And you may think it's a bit funny, but you see how sometimes difficult it is to get people together, especially people who think it has nothing to do with me, this, you know, I'm not involved in this. But actually in universities, most of the time, we are probably involved somehow in everything. And even if we are not, you know, our input is always very valuable. So this is, again, you can access this, I think it's openly accessible, this article. I can maybe send it to Jana if you are interested, but this was the first piece of literature that I found related to sort of using design in education. I then myself had a big headache in Lancaster in having a big problem with study abroad. So our students in Lancaster were struggling to increase the numbers of students going abroad, and these were master students, and we were trying to figure out like what's going on, you know, why we have not enough students. And also the office, the international team who were in charge of this, they basically were inundated with inquiries. So they were forever asking, responding to emails. They were forever, you know, just responding to many inquiries from students. And so the first temptation of these people, what would you do if you don't have enough students wanting to go abroad? What would you do? What would be your instinct? What would you want to do?
Well, the typical response is usually to increase advertising.
Exactly. Yes, let's increase advertising. And then the best idea was, let's introduce more sessions in the evenings. That will make the students come to information sessions, you know. So somebody looked at the students' timetable. They figured out the master students finish at 5 o'clock. Voila, we have sessions at 6 p.m. and still nobody is coming to these sessions. So we have new posters, we are having new sessions, and nobody is coming. So why don't we create a Moodle page about study abroad that nobody can find? Oh, wow, you know, what a great idea. So all this waste of work and then I got the students together. I got a group of master students and I said, well, tell me about your academic year. So you may know that in the UK, master's year is just 1 year master's program. So I said, what does your year look like? So they were telling me, they started talking me through what happens when they arrive, what happens in autumn, how their autumn term is structured, what happens before Christmas. And when we looked at this sort of their academic year, the study abroad promotion or the study abroad journey was completely out of sync with their normal academic year. But of course, you know, nobody from the international team was really interested in their academic studies. They just wanted to send them abroad. So again, sort of these two siloed communities, you know, the international team with their focus of sending the students abroad, and then the student academic life and their personal life as well. So as we looked at what's happening in the student life, we thought it may be useful to visualize what's happening with the study abroad journey. And this really was, I was really inspired by a guy who came to talk to us to the Lean conference from a Dundee airport, not Dundee, Glasgow airport. So this guy was a director of Glasgow airport, and he showed us something very similar. So I completely stole it from him when he was saying, you know, airport is a collection of different departments. Some people don't even work for the airport. There are many contractors, and you as a passenger, you basically have to go through it in a seamless way. You shouldn't be interested, you know, whether the check-in is provided by this company or, you know, the shops are provided by some other company, the toilets are cleaned by some other company. It's none of your business. You go through the experience in a seamless way. And he showed us, this director of Glasgow airport, this journey map of a passenger through the airport. And so I thought, hold on, this is exactly the same as like a journey for my students. So I thought, oh, shall we create like a visual representation for the students just to see what's happening each month, you know, when the talks are occurring, what they should be prepared. Because what we realized is the students couldn't picture it as a sort of one journey. They didn't know what was happening when, and what was the outcome, what was the flow of it. So again, you know, a very simple sort of visualization. And I remember at the beginning of the new academic year, all the students holding the posters, you know, saying, this is great because we now know what to expect. We know what to prepare. We can just tick off, you know, all these activities, and we can understand how this journey is going to be for us, what we need to do. You can see at some point you need to like check if your passport is still valid. And yes, I mean, this was a massive success, and you can think it's so simple, you know, give them a poster with the sort of step by step, but this was from their point of view. So for the first time, we were looking at this journey from what they need to do, not telling them what our process is like. So this was really sort of a first big project that I did at Lancaster. And I didn't call it design because nobody would work with me. I didn't say the swear word S, the service, no way. So I kept it a bit undercover, basically improving student experience and trying to increase the numbers. So that's also one thing, you know, that it is a massive challenge for all of us to even think using the terminology, using the concepts, because people switch off. So that's probably lesson one. Never talk about design or thinking or service design or any sort of design. So, but maybe we should, you know, so it's a difficult one. So this was my project. And then I just put here another fantastic project, which is my colleague's project in Dundee and Angus College, and you can watch here on YouTube. These guys, basically, they redesigned the whole curriculum of the whole college. This was crazy. They brought I don't know how many, 50, 60 people. They brought the cleaners, they brought the catering staff, everybody into, you know, the same room, and they applied the design process onto thinking about what is it like for these students and the staff, you know, to exist in the college. And they redesigned this whole college. So this is a vocational college. So for example, they teach things like horticulture. So they teach students to grow vegetables and so on. And then, you know, and then catering or hairdressing. So this is a massive project that they really redesigned the whole curriculum. And here I just put another sort of reference here for you. We've recently had a big project where we brought people together just to think about how service design can be used. And we did a bit of a jam session, an edu jam over 3 days, but you can have a look. There are some sort of links to videos that you can watch. So in, let me just go. We do use the framework from the Design Council. So you're probably all familiar. I think maybe Jana has tortured you to understand this double diamond. And we always talk about the double diamond and the double diamond. And so, of course, there are different sort of schools of thought about this double diamond. And the most important thing is that it is always iterative. But when we started thinking about it, we always think, you know, people want to make the education student-centered, but maybe they don't know how. And we talk a lot about student-centered, and we think, oh, if we give student a feedback form, that's student-centered, you know. So I think we have good intentions, but maybe this sort of framework gives us a little bit more like confidence, you know, and maybe some approach. So the tools that you guys practiced are useful. They are definitely the starting point, and they were for me, but it is not just about the tools. You have to sort of, at some point, you will have a mind shift, I think. So if I go back to my mural, the top bit is really the sort of the continuous project that I continue to do all the time. It's like a never-ending project. So I am a program director of a Masters in Management program, and it's a one-year program. I have about, so it's here, sorry, it's a bit small. So it's a Masters in Management, one-year program. Students don't have much work experience, and a lot of them are overseas students. And they are typically, some of the UK students typically continue from the Lancaster University. And I was really inspired by this quote, which you probably can't see, but I thought, why am I doing all this? Why do I try to improve the student experience? And this was a quote from one of the students, which says, I am aware that some students will always complain, be unsatisfied, but it's important to create a challenging yet attainable environment in university by preparing students to thrive and not expecting them to figure it all out alone. Whilst I know that independent study and figuring out is an important part of the university, at least in the UK, it's a general consensus that students do not know what is expected of them, especially during the first year. So this was an undergrad. So I love this challenging yet attainable environment, and it is really what I'm trying to do. So when I first started as a director of this program, I did a bit of an auto-ethnography. So I was observing myself. At the time, I was already aware of sort of design methods, and I thought, well, let's observe how I feel. So first, I was really scared. I was so scared when they gave me this job. You will be the director of this program. I couldn't figure out how the program is structured. I really didn't know what the program is about, because this program is a general management program. So it doesn't belong to any department. It's somehow floating in the faculty level. And I was really mortified when I had to go to the welcome week and do a speech and welcome the students. And I was thinking, well, I really don't know how this program works. And my administrative team, they kept telling me, don't worry, you need to go through 1 year first, and then you will understand how the program works. And I was thinking, well, but what about the students? They only have 1 year to do it. So do you mean that they do that 1 year and they only understand it at the end of the year? You know, so I was thinking, oh my goodness, so if I'm feeling like this, what are they feeling like? You know, many international students, the first time away from home. And I started feeling like how I used to feel as this traveling student going to Spain or Ireland or the UK, confused, maybe a bit scared, thinking, oh my God, how am I going to even go through this program? So I thought, it can't continue like this. This is not going to happen. We can't have 1 whole year to get used to this program. So obviously there's sort of self-observation, and I think this self-empathy is also really important, you know, when you're thinking about it. Trust your feelings, because you guys, you are the experts actually, you know, you've been teaching, you've been in the institution, so trust, like, you know, try to give yourselves that time. And I think I draw a lot from coaching. So I did a coaching certificate as well. So I think design has a lot to do with that sort of, you know, the ability to admit to yourself, you know, that things are not great, that maybe you are a bit scared, admit it to the institution as well, you know, but that takes a lot of courage. But I really draw a lot from the coaching, and maybe because I'm well over 40, I don't care what people say anymore. So I just say, you know, this is not on. I feel totally confused. So it takes a lot of courage, but we have to trust each other, you know. And I mean, otherwise, what's the point of doing this? So trust yourselves and find a friend, find somebody where, well, hopefully your boss is a good person enough when you say, this is a nonsense, you know, I don't know what's going on. How can we, you know, even deliver this to students? So I think that's my wish for the universities, to be more open and more vulnerable, if you like. So that's a big skill also in design, to be very vulnerable and very open. I mean, I also teach design, and last week I had to show my fridge to my students. Oh my God, you know, that took a lot of courage to show them what I have in my fridge. When one student said, I can see a lot of bottles. So I said, oh yes, you can, it's Friday. But anyway, so back to the sort of student journey. So, so I started really by observing myself, observing the admin team and other teachers, because all the other teachers, they also have to come to this program from different departments. So they have no clue. They just come with their own way of doing things. Yeah, this is how we teach accounting, and this is how I'm going to teach you guys. Next, marketing. Oh, this is how I teach marketing. So for the students, it's like, it's some crazy collection of some subjects. You know, but of course the lecturers do their best. They don't understand, you know, that it's a different program. So through a lot of observation, a lot of talking to people, I really realized there is no like cohesion, no sort of thread, you know, through this program. And so the first sort of thing that I did a workshop with the students. So I got all the students together. And in Lancaster, this is what I really miss. We have a nice design studio. So some of these pictures are from the design studio, some are just in the lecture theatre. And so I invite my students, and this is a bit of a bias because I feel they have to come because I'm the director. So they always come, but you know, I did this similar exercise in other universities as well. So just be careful of the bias. So, okay, I invite the cohort and they do come, all of them. Last year I had 89 students. So these are pictures from less students. So we get together and I ask them, the first thing is that I ask my students, please make me a typical MSc management student. So when I do this, they already sort of know each other. So this is about 4 months into the program. And so the students work in groups. They can choose their friends. So I don't split them into groups. They just do it how they want. And ideally, I also invite some members of staff who are involved in the program. And we just hover about. So students work together and they create the archetypal personas of what they feel is a typical student on their program. So obviously, you know, some of these would draw on their own feelings, on their own lives, but it is a collection. It's not, they don't use their names, they use, you know, creative sort of craft material. At the moment, you can use Miro or Mural, you know, to create these sort of persona profiles. But I always say, if I only could do one thing, I would always do this. This exercise with my students is amazing, because just through letting them show you how they see themselves as a cohort is really powerful. And you know, I used to be very patronizing and cocky, saying, I know my students. But after doing this, I thought, oh gosh, I don't know my students. You know, many of my students, when we did this mapping with the goal of improving career service, many of my students were absolutely, here you can see, zero career plans, absolutely no idea, really scared even of the title career, you know. So just learning about their lifestyle, about what their concerns are, what their feelings are, you know, what they want to do. And I then let them talk me through it. And this is just fantastic. And we have now done this exercise in different universities. I have done it with undergraduate students, with adult learners as well. And just mapping these personas with students. So this method is a persona co-creation. So you're co-creating the persona with your participants. And you can think about like a goal-oriented persona if you want. So for me, my goal is to improve the program, the Masters in Management. If your goal maybe could be to improve your module, so you could ask them, you know, what does it feel like to be on this module? For us is course. So on this course, you know, how does this course stuff fit in with your interests? So you can do it a bit more specific if you want to. For me, I'm just interested in them as people. And this was one of the feedback that the students said, you are interested in us as in human beings. You know, it's nobody ever asked us, why do you want to know what our hobbies are? And this is the holistic nature and the human-centered aspect of design, that if I don't know my students as people, how am I supposed to design any program for them? And this is something I find really hard to explain to my colleagues, because a lot of information the students give me through this exercise is not related to the academic performance or any feedback on the program or anything like that. They are talking about themselves, why they are in the university. And some people think it's not really relevant. So I would argue with that. And, you know, again, it's quite difficult to show to my colleagues the value of this, because, yeah, I mean, not everybody is interested in the students. What we are usually interested in to teach our fantastic subject, isn't it? So I'm such a good strategy lecturer. I want to show you all, you know, all these wonderful quirks of strategy. Never mind how we are going to understand it. So I usually get this sort of, you know, fantastic insight into what my students are like. And I really recommend this exercise for you. Not at the beginning of the year, not when the students don't know each other. You need to give them some time. So one of my colleagues in Manchester, she thought it would be a good icebreaker. Well, it doesn't work, because the students have no clue, they don't know each other. So you need to give them a bit of time to get to know each other. But then it's quite useful. And I now repeat it. So I repeat it every year. And we always say, you know, the life of a persona is usually 12 months maximum. So don't just create a persona and then think, okay, this will do me now for the rest of my career. You know, like customers, like we change, our behaviors change. And I can see, you know, students every year, they are slightly different. There will be slight variations in who is coming onto my program. So keeping it refreshed. What's quite a nice exercise as well, I think, is what I sometimes do is I create the personas from my own point of view. So I create like profiles of who I think is on my program, how I see my cohort, how I see my students. And then I compare it to how the students, when we co-create, how they see themselves. And I clarify my assumptions through the co-creation workshop. So that's one thing that I do. But so what? So yeah, this at least this gives you a good empathy training. At least, you know, if nothing else, you become much more tuned in to what are the students going through, especially for us when they come to the UK. You know, there is a lot of pressure, a lot of peer pressure as well. A lot of students are homesick, they miss family. So, and also it's quite interesting, I think, for the students to learn about one another. So UK students are very different, you know, from our international students. And they sometimes, they told me, wow, we never thought about this, you know, this was quite shocking for us. We didn't really consider that such and such would have these hobbies or would be interested in these. Or, so it creates awareness within the cohort. It creates my own awareness of my students. And if only every lecturer only did this, I think I would be happy. You know, I would feel that we are interested in people as people. Shall I stop for a while and just see if you guys have any questions? I feel like I'm talking and talking at you.
It's amazingly interesting. I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody that it's very captivating what you're seeing, and it's actually also I'm very happy to see that you have similar tools that we have covered in our class as well. And why I'm happy to see this, and I see that you have also journey maps coming in the further slide, is that, you know, I have this feeling that maybe the participants will acknowledge that I have not been lying to them, that it's the actual thing that people do. So
there are very basic, that all the tools, just buy this book, this service design methods, and we all use the same tools. And it's good to learn the tools. It's more about how you use them. You get more confidence. And why do you use them? And it's really interesting, Jana, what you say. I now teaching my students, I've been going on about a double diamond with my students. I invited external mentors to meet with my students. And the external mentor said, oh, your students don't seem to be familiar with the double diamond. Wow. Sometimes you need the external person to verify what you are saying. It's really true. So
absolutely.
I'm happy to be the external person. But yeah, the basic design research, a lot of it is that stuff. Observation is non-participatory observation. If you can just observing your students. And that's how I did definitely start. You know, the students were tired, they were not very happy, they were not very responsive, they looked very pale. And you know, so I was thinking, oh my goodness, what's going on with them? This is the persona. It's a tool to synthesize your research. So in one way, as I said, you can do it by yourselves from your knowledge, and you can note the assumptions, but this method is a co-creation of a persona, which I personally find much more powerful. So if you can co-create, or let the user in this way, the student, it doesn't always have to be a student. You know, you're like silly if you are creating any like technology support or anything like, or like the Moodle pages, you know, for the lecturers, it's good to know what type of lecturers are coming to you, how will they look at Moodle, you know, what will they want from it. So even creating personas of different types of lecturers, different types of staff members at the university, you know, that can also help. I did a similar exercise with academics and professional members of staff. I don't know if you have the same divide in Estonia, but
yeah, pretty much, yes.
Yeah, in the UK we have the academic people and the professional members of staff, and there is very little, or not very little, it's not true, that the collaboration is a bit tense, shall we say, sometimes. So we did an empathy workshop when I basically invited the academics and the professional members of staff, and I asked the professional members of staff to make me a persona of a typical academic. And I asked the academic staff to make me a persona. You know, what is a typical professional member of staff? So they created, each group created a few personas, and then we showed it to each other. And we did a bit of role play as well between these personas. So role play is another design method when you are then sort of creating more of the empathy as well. And that was quite controversial, but I did it just before Christmas, and everybody had to wear some Christmas decoration on their head, so it was more light-hearted. But I definitely recommend the exercise to increase empathy before academics and professional members of staff as well. So yes, so do you have any questions on the persona, on the co-creation of the personas? Anybody?
Yeah, my question would just to be like how to get honest feedback.
So I feel my students tell me that this is great because they don't have to talk about themselves. So somehow they very quickly forget that they are actually telling me a lot about themselves, but they are not. So yeah, it's never going to be completely honest. And maybe, as I said, you know, they do it because I'm the program director, but through this creative, you know, giving them material, I also believe a lot in the power of working with their hands, which we can't do at the moment. So going to the design studio, giving them different medium as well to work with, to have a bit of a play. And all this is a bit of a, you know, fun. So we just have a bit of fun together. I don't know, I've always felt that they really enjoyed it. They always say, we really enjoyed and we really want to show you. But yeah, you are right. I mean, I have to verify it with what I know, and I do know, you know, about the students. And I think they are quite honest through this. You know, they don't have any reason to sort of disguise things. They tell me some quite shocking things through this exercise, but I think it's definitely more valuable than giving them a questionnaire or actually than doing nothing, you know. So that's all I can reply to about the honesty. Any more questions about this method?
Seems not at the moment.
No question. So from the persona, I then ask each group, I say, right, here we have Ivy, for example. So I said, what has it been like for Ivy on the MSc Management program so far? So not for you, for your persona, so for Ivy or for Emma. What has Emma been going through on the program so far? And I only give them a basic template of, this is the timeline from September to February. These are the good feelings, the positive feelings, and these are the negative feelings here. That's all I tell them. And this is what we call emotional journey mapping. So this is when we map emotions. So you can see they call it emotion graph. So here is Ivy's emotion graph. And again, you can't see So Ivy arrives in September. She's full of hope and excitement. And already, you know, very near, already just at the beginning of October, she's already feeling lonely and homesick. These yellow ones are already some ideation bits, so ignore them, please. So she goes down into the dip. This is when the program is really starting to, you know, take its turn. They have the first module, first exam, boom, down. So first exam ever in the UK, she's down again. But hold on, here there is a friends party. Wow, she goes up in the emotion like crazy. She's up there. Yeah, there is a party going on with her friends. She's feeling really good. And then we go down into accounting module. Surprise, surprise. Sorry, Pavo, but accounting is not a favorite module for my students. And actually we are going through it this week. So a lot of anxiety here. And accounting exam, oh my God, look, it even went out of the paper. They didn't even fit it on the paper. So massive emotional, you know, swings and roundabouts, really. This is now the Christmas time. And yes, I'm going to go and see my family. Now, January sales, I'm feeling pretty happy about the sales. I'm shopping like crazy. I've had my time at Christmas and I'm back at uni. Oh my goodness. Well, would you like to look at anything like that as a program director without wanting to cry? That everything related to the uni is here. Everything related to your family and friends and shopping is here. I mean, that's pretty shocking, but okay, it is what it is. And again, people tell me, well, why do you worry about this? This is none of your business if they are having parties or going home for Christmas or January sales. But going back to that stuff, education is holistic. For me, these people are with me for 1 year. They are with me for their life. Their life is with me for 1 year. It's not just in the lecture theatre. I will never solve all these issues, but I have to think about what they go through and try to understand, you know, what's their life like as well. So we have here, oh my God, this Julie, you can see again, I mean, you can imagine, you know, what kind of things they are talking about. So again, Julie arrived, she made lots of friends, she became a social rep. Wow, she wants to know everybody. She joined the Spanish Society, but she started struggling with time management. So a lot of excitement, she takes a lot on, but oh my goodness, and what about this? Yeah, she got 58 in her first exam and she got really, really stressed. She was trying to socialize, tried to find a job and study. And this is just not happening really. You know, then she's now here going, it's all a bit better. Now there's more individual career meetings necessary. Now she's making friends, things are picking up a little bit. But basically from all these journeys, the first time we did it, we identified November as a disaster month. So November is like your worst nightmare. And maybe I'll show you outside of my window. When November strikes, it's dark, it's cold, it's very windy in the UK. And the honeymoon period is over, really, you know. So they have arrived, they've made some friends. First exams are happening, November strikes, you know, still far to Christmas. It's sort of, you are stuck in the middle and it's cold. Probably not as cold as in Estonia, but you know, for us, I have Indian students from South China. Every time I talk to them online, they are just sat there like this, you know, it's so cold, you know. So November is a really, really bad month for us. And so just from this exercise, we start thinking, okay, what do we usually do in November with our students? So from the career point of view, guess what? I mean, this was hilarious because in November, we invite these big consultancy firms, KPMG, PwC, you know, all these big boys, and we say, come on guys, increase the confidence of our students, and let's do some mock interviews, and we'll do all these like amazing things. And so my students told me, well, I've probably already failed one exam, or I did really badly. It's really cold. I'm missing my family. It's dark. And the last thing I want is to turn up in front of a PwC consultant and go, hello, I want a job. That's the last thing. The last thing these poor humans are ready to do. And we were thinking, why are they not coming to these sessions? How embarrassing for us and for the PwC consultants. So, this is, again, maybe you think, oh, a little silly example, you should have known that. But really, we didn't, because the job market in the UK opens in October. The job vacancies are open in October. So we wanted to prepare the students in the best possible way for their first job interviews. So we thought this was a fantastic idea. But it wasn't, was it? So, we have to rethink. So a lot of the things that we rethink is not what we do, but it's usually about how we go about it. And how else would we know? If you were to ask the students, you could give them some feedback questionnaire, I suppose. I'm just thinking, how else would I find out that November is such a torturous month and that they really can't wait for the Christmas break? The Christmas break is such a boost. How else would I know? It's interesting. So this emotional journey mapping, again, I recommend it, and the students go through, they tell you, this stuff step by step, how they feel, and just you can see this and you can start thinking, how could I make it a bit more level? You don't want to be like up and down like crazy, like a yo-yo, when you have to concentrate on quite a difficult learning experience. So, for me, the more level it is, so it is about managing expectation, and it is maybe about telling them. So the whole summer I was telling everybody, and in November, it will be really dark. It will be terrible. It will be really cold. But don't worry, we'll have some, chats together, some sessions, and we'll have a bit of fun. So you have to learn then from the program point of view. I also have to be very careful about where I put the different modules and how I structure the program. So when I then look with the students in the sequence of modules, how the subjects go one by one, we think very carefully about this. And we usually start with marketing because it's a very cheery module. It's quite open. People usually love marketing. It usually speaks to everybody. Yeah, everybody can somehow find themselves in marketing. So we get them get used to things, get them used to the Moodle and everything, all the systems and so on. And then we attack with accounting, which is all right. They still go a bit down, but they are now used to it. So it's a bit harder. And then we give them all organization, behavior, and HR, just to sort of, oh, okay, yeah, there are still some people. So you and we spoke to students about this, about, how can we structure the modules? Because on my program, there are no prerequisites. So because it's, as I said, it's a generic program. So we can play a little bit about, this we used to have economics before Christmas. Well, that was a complete disaster. It was so depressing because almost everybody failed economics. So I thought, okay, where would you like it to be? And they said, well, probably January, when we've had a bit of a rest at Christmas, we're then ready to attack economics. So even not just the career support, you can start thinking about how you structure, the subjects and have a dialogue with the students, what would be acceptable, what would make this whole up and down curve just a little bit flatter, so that they can concentrate on the depth of the studying and on the learning experience, which I never want you to think that we are trying to dumb it down. So again, some of my colleagues are saying, you are making it too easy for the students, blah, blah, blah. I said, yes, I'm making the process easy. I don't want them to think about, oh, where am I supposed to be now? What's happening now? But then I want to challenge them massively in the learning. So it's not about simplifying the learning. For me, it's about simplifying the way they go through the experience. Right, so this is the emotional journey. Any questions? I think I'm going to put my light on. It looks like I'm in some sort of a cave. Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
My light it will take a bit of time for it to come on. So any questions about the emotional journey map? And again, because they are not talking about themselves, they are talking about some Ivy. These are not my emotions. This is Ivy or Emma. So they can somehow distance. It creates a little bit of a safety net that they are able to slightly distance themselves from it.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Hello, Tarvo.
Hello, Radka.
Go for it.
Just thinking about the diversity in the student body, and you are making cases that most of the students have very same emotional high phases and low phases, but are there also some differences? For example, some type of students treat some subject areas with an elevated feeling and some others do not? Or...
Yeah, that's a really good question. And for me, so, these examples are from different cohorts, but I look for patterns. So when we do this exercise with one cohort, then maybe there will be different patterns. So of course, some of them. So when I show you here, when we move on, I mean, the EU students are much flatter in their experience. They are a bit more resilient, the EU students. So when I map the EU student journeys, so that goes back to the persona. So for me, I probably have, overseas students, EU students, and UK students. So very broadly, I can split them in these three categories. And when I look at patterns from the emotional journeys, I definitely see that the overseas student emotions are much more accentuated, because I think it is about them being in a completely new environment, whilst the EU students are maybe a bit more used to the sort of studying, they have more ambition, and the system is not so alien for them, I suppose. And then the UK students are maybe even flatter, because, as I said, a lot of them would have studied in Lancaster before, so they are a bit more used to what's happening. So, and yes, you are completely right that we shouldn't stereotype and always look for, are there any anomalies, are there any spikes outside? But I guess when I did these projects, I always looked for these patterns, and there are always these recurring patterns. Mm-hmm. That I thought, if I maybe address these patterns, I wonder whether it would improve the overall experience. But yeah, it's a good point. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Thank you so much.
So here, what I'm showing you is using more of the journey mapping. And I use Maply as a template just to sort of help myself, which shows you the step-by-step. So Emma accepts her offer, then she quits her part-time job to start the uni, she goes to the induction week, then she starts the program modules, she sits her first exam, finishes her first exam, resumes her part-time job, and that could go on and on. So this is just a snapshot of that journey. Then I put sort of a bit of a text, a bit of more detail, so Emma was pleased to get her 2-1 from Lancaster. She did biology and IT, didn't get a graduate job, so she decided to apply to come to my program. And there was a space, so brilliant, she was accepted. So it was a plan B for her. So she's all right, she's happy. She lives locally. So in 1 year, it was quite amazing. I realized I have a lot of locally living students who actually live with their parents. So we attract a lot of local UK students, and then we attract these international students. So quite incompatible groups in a way, so students who still live with their parents, students who commute. So I didn't even know how many students I had commuting to classes, who were telling me, oh, you give me all these breaks during the day, so I'm stuck. I have to stay on campus. I have to bring my lunch. So all these kind of things that I didn't really think about. So this sort of, and the storyboarding is quite nice, you know, if you want to demonstrate and show this maybe to some more senior colleagues. So this is a bit more, well, sophisticated, if you like. There are even softwares to do this. I never sort of progressed as far usually, but I should. So this is one of my shortcomings, that, you know, to present, imagine presenting this, something like this to our dean. He just always say, oh, that's the woman with the stickers. What do you want? Do you want more stickers or something, you know? So yeah, it also, somehow this creativity gives a bad name to design. You know, people think you are some sort of a mad person with a lot of rolls of paper and stickers, but well, if they want to think that. So if you want to be more sophisticated, of course, you know, and big companies, they do invest into these softwares. I think Smaply is probably one of the best ones. It's usually recommended to us, where you can really create these journey maps. And I think I really wish I had more time. Sorry, Jana.
I was just saying that Miro now has journey templates completely for free, so you can actually play with them, and they're very nice looking.
That's great. But what Smaply does, it's sort of almost like a software. So it gives the information, and you can then, you know, you could continue looking at the patterns over years. So, I mean, that would be the perfection, but let's not aspire for perfection. We just have to do our best. But I do wish I had more time and I could stuff, you know, coordinate my data a little bit better. But that's what I at least look at it. And then what I then look at, of course, you've probably talked about this stuff, pain points. What are the pain points, you know? What is really, what is each cohort gives me this sort of pain points. So they will say, oh, the welcome week, the intro week was too short. There's too much assessment, you know, too many exams. And it was true, you know, when we looked at the portfolio, it was crazy. There was no time for any extracurricular activities. It felt like a conveyor belt. It felt like they were processed through some, you know, next. So they were overloaded by the information and this career, like, what do you mean, you know? That was sort of really scary as well. So it just felt a bit crazy. And through these exercises over the year, so this is my 4th year, I got rid of, I think maybe 5 courses. I just got rid of many things that were duplicated in the curriculum. We were teaching them almost the same thing. So we used to have marketing, market research, research methods, all this stuff. We were recycling the same material. We used to have 2 different accounting modules, 2 different finance modules. When we looked more closely, we were thinking, what are we doing? You know, is it really about this quantity, or shall we just do a little bit less but give them more time? So yeah, it's taken me quite a long time, and there is a lot of bureaucracy in the UK, you know, so I can't change everything. But what we do with the students, that we do a bit of ideation. So how might we enhance your career planning? Imagine, you know, what would it look like? And there was one interesting thing that they were saying, oh, we don't have enough time for social events, you know. And I was saying to them, all right, so what would you like? And they said, you organize some more social events for us. I said, are you sure? Are you sure me organizing social events? No, well, that's going to be pretty boring, guys. So what would this social event look like then if I organized it for you? And they were like looking at me like, what do you mean? I said, well, I quite like going to a cafe and just sitting there with my friends. They said, oh my God. So I said, you don't want this, do you? And they said, no, we don't want that. So what do you want? So again, it is the coaching training that I have, you know. I don't just take an answer and go and do it. So I go and dig in. So it's more like your 5 whys. And why, or what would that look like? And show me and explain to me. So from this demand that I should organize more social activities, we realized that basically the students wanted to take part in activities that are already happening. And in Lancaster, these activities are on Wednesday afternoon. And so what I did is I created a block on Wednesday afternoon in the curriculum. So nobody can teach on Wednesday afternoon. That's it. So things like this are really easy for me to implement. And I'm not organizing any social events. So again, you would be tempted, wouldn't you? Oh yeah, they want more social events. Oh well, let's put a pizza night on or something. And you would be there on your own waiting for them, you know, and then you would say, oh, lazy students, you know, they want this. They tell us they want it and then they don't come. And this is how we behave, don't we? So instead of doing that, well, let's really like say, so what would it look like? So show me. So we prototype, or, you know, quick discussion. Prototype can just be a role play, a discussion. That's good enough, you know. Talk me through a social event with Dr. Newton. How would that, you know, look? What would that look like? So very quickly you realize they probably want something else. So these Wednesday afternoons in the program, this is a magic. We are like the only program that doesn't teach on Wednesday afternoon. We are like the most successful program. As a result, many students want to come onto my program because Wednesday afternoon is free. You know, and it's good because in that way they know they can continue with their social life because it's timetabled in a way. So they just ask me, just timetable that social time for us. Fine, I can do that. So some things have been more easy for me to implement than others, but what I always make a point of is at the end of the year, I do an exhibition for the students, and the exhibition is called You Said We Did or We Didn't. And in the exhibition, I prepare posters. So these are your examples, and I summarize all the things that we spoke about that year. So maybe there were some pain points and things that came out of this exercise that they told me about the intro week, the academic writing. There wasn't, one year wasn't enough provision, but the program design, leadership module was problematic, economic module was problematic, career support. So in 1 year, in this year, we had sort of 8 pain points that they wanted me to think about. And so I tell them what they told me. So you said, we enjoy the intro week sessions, visits and events. We would not mind a get together after the long Easter break. We felt a bit sort of lost coming back. So they wanted to replicate the welcome week after the Easter break as well. And then I tell them what I did. So I said, okay, I carved out 2 weeks at the start, blah, blah, blah. So, and then I maybe give them another question, would this work? So for each of what they said, you said, then I say, I did. Or sometimes I said, I didn't, I couldn't. I will try to do it next time. And this has created this magical loop when now my alumni, the students who graduated in 2008, they are coming back to the program as guest speakers, and they are saying, oh yeah, you really did it. You did like what we said. And so now, you know, we have this perpetual program community who remember that really we said that we would, and we did. And this year, I think I decided to finish as a program director this year because one of my students from last year, she put on LinkedIn, she said, this program is curated and co-created with the students. That's the biggest strength. So they feel we co-create this experience together, and they really feel like partners. They really feel like we care through acknowledging them as humans and thinking about the improvements. And I thought, job done, I can leave now. So I'm finishing this year, actually. This is my last academic year as a program director, because I think somebody else should take the challenge on. But my mindset will always be like this. I'm always thinking about, it's not just about addressing the students' needs or giving them what they want. It's not about it. It's about together we can figure it out and not jump at the first solution or, you know, something crazy that create even more work, but really be really thoughtful about what is the problem, you know, and do that research, do the observation, look at your students, talk to them, you know, through that persona, through the journey mapping, and try to figure out what is the real problem here, so that you don't spend time forever creating more work for yourselves that actually brings no value at all. So that's me. I think it's still very dark here, isn't it? It's very strange, but thank you very much for listening to me. I feel like I've been talking at you so much.
Thank you, Radka. That was really inspiring. Thank you very much for this talk. And I'm sure there's plenty of questions. Would anybody want to ask anything? This is the example of the Estonian shyness, by the way. We are not very talkative as a nation.
Well, normally we would now go to the pub and we would have a good evening and chat properly, wouldn't we? That would be better.
That's where the discussion would happen. True.
Vanatalin with some coffee. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
I would maybe ask a question still. And it's about the freedom of decisions of you had in changing the lesson schedules and changing the course lists. How much of let's say this feedback did you get from the faculty?
Well, you know, it's I had quite a lot of support because I always had a good story to tell. So you have to learn. Storytelling is another, I don't know, Jana, if you covered in your design sessions, but you know.
Not in particular, but it has been covered in other topics, I think.
So, you know, the academics, they will want to see some data, they want to see what's happening. So of course you know, I showed dropping performance. I looked for data that would show the trends, that would support my argument. But I tell a compelling story from this, you know, from this I know, I can feel it. And I think presented well in the committees, and nobody wants to see students stressed and suffering and anxious. You know, everybody wants to really find solutions. The university was very happy that I was looking at duplication of material being covered, you know, more streamlined way of approach. So you have to learn to present the story in the language that the university wants to hear, and pick your battles, you know. So I was also, I didn't win all my battles, and the module sequence took me a long time to figure out. I had a pushback from the lecturers, but I sort of didn't want to give up. So is this, I don't know, some sort of perseverance in me, because the students matter to me so much. And yeah, it has taken me 4 years to put it into a good shape, but I was like chipping away, you know. Every year I would put a proposal to the committee, you know, few proposals, and I started, you have to prioritize the pain. So you also have to learn what's the big priority, what can wait for next year. So step by step, I suppose. It's not a quick fix. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint, I think. Even though maybe you are doing some design sprints, but design is not a sprint. So yeah.
I agree. Thank you.
Probably didn't answer it very well, but.
No, this was exactly what I had in mind. So yeah, thanks.
Maybe you already mentioned it, but how many students do you have in general?
So I started with 50, then we had a massive drop to 37, and I now have 82, and last year 89. So yeah, we've had a massive increase now, and I'm hoping that students can see much more easily what the program identity is. You know, it's much easier, and they now tell me, they say, yeah, it's exactly what I expected from the program. So that's great, you know, that they come to it knowing, yeah, it is what I expected. Even now in this online environment, you know, the students seem to be fairly happy. So I hope we will have an increase. But overall in the management school, we have about 700 postgraduates. So my students are sort of 10% of that, you know, so small proportion.
Okay, any more questions? Nope, just smiling faces.
It's a lot to take in, you know, and I was so scared to do the first workshop. I was really scared. So I invited my friend, so Jean Mutton, she came to do the first workshop with me to help me because I really didn't know what to expect. But that's the beauty of design. You need to get used to this. You never know what's going to happen in these workshops. That's probably the most nerve-wracking experience. And it's still hard for me, you know. I much prefer to have the answers lined up. The uncertainty is killing me, but that's the beauty of design. But yeah, it's a really difficult one. You never know what's going to happen, and you must never ask leading questions, you know. So you have to really hold your nerve and let the students tell you, and just be curious. And it's painful. So maybe invite a friend. I would probably never do this alone. You know, it's nice to do it with other people somebody who will support you.
That's a good suggestion indeed. And now as we have already, well, we have 10 people in the call minus you and me, so we have 8 colleagues who are already familiar with the technique and who is sort of a safe body to invite to such a workshop. So the community has been started, I guess.
Yeah, just experiment, maybe just do like little things, you know, and just see what it's like, what the students, how they react. I have to tell you that the first workshop, I think I deceived my students a bit. Well, I told them, like, you know, come and learn this special technique that you can then use later on, you know, when you are designing a service, you can actually use it. If you want to create a new business, you can use this same thing. And they came, we did it, and I said, well, actually, yeah, we can see how it can be used. So if you operate in business school, you can also say, you know, this is basically an example about how you can create a business or improve service. So
I have to say that this is currently the secret master plan we are considering with the management of the school.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? You know, the students are clever enough to do that. It makes sense.
All right. I think as exciting as it is, as everybody's still here, though actually our time ran out some time ago. I think let's maybe wrap this up. Though me personally, I could be listening to your presentation for another couple of hours without any problem. So, oh, that's a beautiful quote.
So I received this today. So today we received a new report of the future of service design, and one chapter is dedicated to education. And I thought, this is a sign to show it to you guys, and I can send Diana the report copy.
Please do. Please do.
You know, it is a mindset. So, and if you start with the tools, don't be ashamed. It's fine. Some people say, oh, you're just using some templates, blah, blah. You have to get used to it. It's a new approach. It's okay. You know, the mindset, the confidence will come. And later on, you will not need any templates or anything. You will figure out your own way. But at the beginning, why not? You know, it's a new thing, new approach, I suppose, to problem solving. So, you know, we have to reprogram ourselves. So the tools are helpful.
Indeed. Thank you. And yes, please do share this this report. I will forward this on to colleagues and add it to the suggested tools that we have on Moodle for this course. And I also encourage colleagues from TalTech, if you guys have any questions, well, as usually, the questions come a bit later. I think it's absolutely fine if you reach out to Radka through LinkedIn, let's say, add her as a contact. And
I can give you my email address as well in the chat. We do have, as I said, we do have this community, and we organize events as well for people. who are interested. It is a bit of an unknown area, so don't be put off if you don't find many things to read about, because not many people write. And me, I don't have time. I have to write something, but many of us are doers, so we do it, but we don't write, so that's our weakness. So there isn't much literature actually to draw on from, you know, so it is hard to navigate, but it's good just to, I really love the series of the book. So these two books with the methods, this is service design, doing, and the methods. I really always start there, you know, that's really always helped me, and then try to adapt it to my situation. In the real world, we used a lot of Lego as well with the students. You know, it was fantastic to like build a module, build a course, build me a course. What does it look like? And then you do like a nice walk through the Lego. So we can't do it now, but there is lots of different ways that you can experiment. And the students usually really love it. They, at least here for us, they really appreciate that we're giving them this extra voice.
Great.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for listening to me. I feel terrible. I feel like I've been talking at you, and you can see so like I love this part. I hope I've managed to inspire some of you. It's not an answer to everything, but I'm sure you can adapt it to your context.
Thank you. I still have one question. I was thinking I can keep it, but I can't. I'm just thinking like we can't do the all the process right now because all the courses are on already. But I'm thinking, what have you seen? What has been the best feedback? What professors can ask about their Moodle courses? Because we are also using Moodle, but maybe something like even like more playful than just like questionnaire. Maybe you have seen something that someone has done, or something that you have done.
Not sure about this. With Moodle, I was just thinking, oh, you know, we built a lot of Moodle prototype pages. That's what, when I was thinking about you, I just wrote down Moodle prototypes, but giving feedback through questionnaires is not sort of my preferred way of collecting the data. It's hard. It'd be nice to be able to see like how easy was it maybe to navigate the Moodle, or, you know, how often did they use it, and it's more like what has it felt like, because our Moodle pages are quite terrible, to be honest. It's very difficult to engage students in the Moodle design. So we built a lot of different prototypes of different Moodle pages and maybe test it with some students. I think that would be quite, or get students to design a Moodle page. You know, that would be quite a cool way, like give them like what an existing course page looks like and say, if you could design it, and they can just draw it, you know, you can do web pages just by drawing. That could be maybe a competition. You can do a Moodle design competition. But I think I always wonder, what would make them engage with my Moodle? How would they like to see it, you know? And I don't know, I think they are maybe used to like Amazon pages or what they are shopping on. They probably want it to be more like something that they're used to, because I think Moodle is so alien. So yeah, that may be a good one. Draw me a Moodle page.
Yeah.
Perfect exercise. All right. So I really once again encourage to send all the questions and to reach out to Radka in LinkedIn and via email, because there's really a lot of experience on her side on how to implement this whole fabulous mindset and the tools of design methodology in practice in the settings of university and in the curriculum design as well as subject design. But as the time is slowly running out, I will just thank Radka once again, because this was really awesome thing to listen to and to really show how inspired you are by everything that you that you have done, and by the feedback from the students and the improvements that have been made based on this. So, and I hope that while we're still making our first steps in TalTech, introducing these methods and the mindsets and the design framework in a broader, let's say, community, that we will still kind of make some progress in a bit of time, and quite soon we'll be able to share some success stories with you as well.
That would be fantastic. So we'll be looking forward to you guys coming on to some of our conferences with the service design in education and sharing. And, you know, we want to hear about your failures, how it all went wrong as well.
Oh, those we can share.
Yes. I think we're planning to do like a failure event. So, you know, just to also reflect, you know, why did it go wrong, and just try to enjoy it, you know.
Yeah, these are important. So thank you very much. I will stop the recording.